So I'm sure you guys remember when Ron DeSantis was passing all sorts of anti-woke laws. And the main criticism at the time when he was doing this is actually a very straightforward criticism, which should have appealed to his supporters. Because these are the same people who say, oh my God, I care so deeply about the First Amendment and free speech and free expression, and the stupid lefties are trying to take away our First Amendment rights. Well, the criticism of DeSantis's Stop Woke Act and all of his other sorts of bizarre crackdowns is that it is anti-First Amendment. There was all these book bans that were going on, and they cloaked it under the guise of, you have this hardcore pornography being shown to kids. Well, of course, we looked at the PEN America report of all the various books that were being banned, and it was like less than 20% of the books that were banned were of a sexual nature, right? And even smaller percent of those books is one that's actually crossing some sort of a line, especially at the time when you have the internet and kids, God only knows how young they are when they're searching the internet and finding all sorts of stuff, which is probably not good for kids. But they ended up banning a lot of books simply based on the fact that this one has a trans character in it. This one, it talks about a gay relationship in a totally non-explicit standard way, but just the fact that gay people exist, we don't like that for kids, so take it down, ban it. And so there were all these book bans that were happening. Well, now the chickens have come home to roost. So here we go. Bill O'Reilly is outraged after school district pulls his books under Florida law he supported. Would you look at that? Conservative commentator Bill O'Reilly fumed against the Florida school district's decision to pull two of his books while officials determine whether they run afoul of a state law he supported. Escambia County School District has at least temporarily removed more than 1,000 titles. Let me repeat that. 1,000 titles from its shelves because those books have been alleged to contain pornography or obscene depictions of sexual conduct. Those include O'Reilly's Killing Jesus, A History, and Killing Reagan, The Violent Assault That Changed the Presidency. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed the law in March 2022. Quote, unfortunately, we've seen some books in some of these libraries. I mean, you're talking about kids in middle school. Some of the stuff that has ended up there is incredibly, incredibly disturbing stuff, DeSantis said at the time. Presumably not about O'Reilly's book, but hilarious that now it's being applied to O'Reilly's book. Reached for comment by Newsweek on Friday, O'Reilly expressed his displeasure. Quote, it's absurd, he told the publication. Preposterous. He added this. When DeSantis signed the book law, I supported the theme because there was abuse going on in Florida. There were far-left progressive people trying to impose an agenda on children. There's no doubt about it, and the state has an obligation to protect children. But the wording of the law was far too nebulous in Tallahassee. Now that his book's affected, this is too broad, too vague, too nebulous. So that law needs to be tightened up. DeSantis needs to come out publicly and say, this is insane. We're not going to cooperate with this, and we're going to investigate the people who did it. Unbelievable. O'Reilly said he still supports the law, of course, because he's a fucking moron, but added that removal of his books is an abuse of the law. I want to emphasize the fact that there are abuses in certain school districts that harm children, he said. There are materials that are inappropriate, and those materials have to be specifically included in the law with language that is very specific. The pundit also took to X/Twitter where he wrote, this will not stand. So now he's on a crusade. He's being all melodramatic because it impacted him personally. Well, look, I'm going to say it again, guys. This law was always idiotic, always anti-First Amendment, and was always going to end in this way. Why? Because once you open that door, there's no shutting it. And it's mission creep. Slowly but surely, this book gets banned, and that book gets banned, and this book gets banned. And look, a lot of the books that were banned previously under this law, it was because of violence. They said, I don't know, this book seems a little too violent, ban it. Well, guess what? When you have a book called Killing Reagan, and it's about an attempted political assassination on Ronald Reagan, yeah, some people are going to say, this is kind of violent. Should pull it. So you see where this path gets us. And of course, the right, too stupid to acknowledge their own hypocrisy, thinks like, no, when I wanted to do a law to suppress content, I didn't mean my content, I meant my enemy's content. But this is always how it works, you absolute jackasses. Always. Starts with one thing, then it goes to another thing, then it expands to another, and the next thing you know, all you're dealing with is an anti-First Amendment crusade. And that's what it is. Because in many instances, it's just there's some violence in this book, or there's a gay character in this book, or there's a trans character in this book, or we don't like the underlying message of that book, or this one is too sexual even if it's really not, and this one is that, and this is what happens. So instead of correcting his position, you know what? Yeah, maybe the law had decent intent, but is just not right. Instead of even saying that, it's bring my books back, but I still love the law. Because why? Look. At the end of the day, what Ron DeSantis wants, what Bill O'Reilly wants, what all these goons on the right want, all the talk about free speech and free expression and the First Amendment and how they're upholding that was never true. They just wanted the power so they could be the censors. And it's everybody who disagrees with me, gone. Everybody who agrees with me, you get to have a platform and a megaphone and scream it from the rooftops. That's what it is at the end of the day. It was always a cheap trick. But it backfired. It backfired. So look, here's the simple solution. Repeal the law, bring back the books that were banned, and if there happens to be any book that's actually, like, obviously nobody wants Hustler magazine in an elementary school library, right? But it's not there, right? If there's the occasional thing here or there that maybe crosses a line, yeah, in that scenario you could have a librarian, say, bring it up to higher authorities and whatever. I'm sure there's some process where there's some standards as to what's in the library. It's fine to exercise that in the fringiest of fringe conditions, but let's keep it real. Over 90% of these books that were banned shouldn't have been banned. They shouldn't have been banned. And now they're experiencing the chickens coming home to roost. So I can't say I don't enjoy this, even though I wouldn't have banned his books. I think his books are stupid. I think his books are dumb. I think his books are total misinformation. I think he's a charlatan and a fraud. But so is free speech. So is free expression. That means that people who are brilliant get to talk, and also the dumbest people on the planet get to talk. O'Reilly definitely fits into the latter category, but maybe you shouldn't have supported that law, freak. All right, guys. That's the show. Love y'all very much. Everybody do me a big favor. Please click like on the channel. More importantly, click subscribe. We're trying to continue to grow the subscriber base here. Helps out massively in the algorithm. It doesn't cost you anything to subscribe. Also, you guys, if you want to support this show, remember, I've never talked to an advertiser or a corporation or anything like that. You guys help fund this show from the ground up, so there's a Patreon link below. If you sign up on Patreon and pay $5 a month or $2 a month or whatever you can, it helps out massively. You have no idea. And a massive, huge thank you for people who already do support this show. You could also tip on YouTube with the thanks button below if you're so inclined. Or you guys could sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. That link's below as well. If you pay $5 a month, you get the video of every interview or debate, and you get it a day early. We're going to have Owen Jones on this week. He's been really good on the issue of Israel. Crystal and I are going to talk to him. And that's all I got for you guys, man. Everybody have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.